Ethan and Lyra moved cautiously through the abandoned mining tunnels, the faint glow from Ethan's handheld lamp casting long shadows across the jagged walls. Every footstep echoed, reminding them both how vulnerable they were. Lyra held the blanket close around her shoulders, her silver eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of danger. She had learned quickly to trust Ethan, but fear still lingered like a heavy cloak. "They could be anywhere," she whispered, her voice shaking. Ethan nodded without looking back. "I know, but we'll stay ahead. The tunnels are old, but they're our best chance. If we keep moving, they won't find us." Hours passed, and the tunnels twisted deeper into the canyon. Ethan had memorized parts of these abandoned mines from his childhood explorations. Some sections were unstable, filled with rubble and collapsed shafts. They avoided these areas, choosing safer passages, but even so, every creak of old metal and the soft drip of water made them flinch. After a long trek, they reached a small chamber with a partially collapsed wall. Ethan crouched to inspect the rubble, pushing aside loose stones. Behind them, embedded in the rock, was a strange metallic device that pulsed faintly. Lyra gasped, recognizing symbols etched onto its surface, ancient Virellan markings. This is from my people," she said softly. "It's very old. Long ago, before humans came here, the Virellans built outposts in these tunnels." Ethan examined the sphere. "Looks like a data storage device, maybe a communication hub." He brushed away dirt from a panel, revealing a small port. "If we can get this working, we might be able to contact someone who can help. Someone who can protect you." Lyra's small hands hovered over the device, and a faint blue light flickered to life. The sphere projected a holographic map, showing star systems and a route that led to the Virellan embassy ship. Ethan realized that if they could send a signal along this ancient network, the truth about the attack on her family could be broadcasted to the colony and beyond. But before they could act further, distant echoes reached their ears, voices, boots on stone. The soldiers had tracked them down again. Ethan's jaw tightened. "We need to move, now." He grabbed Lyra's hand and they sprinted through a narrow passage. Laser sensors hummed faintly above them, and the shadows of their pursuers danced along the walls. Lyra stumbled, her small legs tiring, but Ethan steadied her. "Keep going." Almost there. They reached a rickety bridge spanning a deep mining pit. The molten core below glowed faintly, casting a reddish hue across the tunnel. As they crossed, Ethan noticed Cray and two soldiers emerging from the opposite side, weapons drawn. "Stop! That child belongs to us," Cray shouted. Ethan positioned himself between Lyra and the soldiers. "Not while I'm alive," he said, voice firm despite the pain shooting through his shoulder from a grazing hit earlier. Lyra clutched the metallic sphere. Her instincts told her to act. Trembling, she touched the device and a pulse of energy spread through the tunnel. Blue light illuminated the walls, and the sphere projected a holographic broadcast directly into orbit, transmitting proof of the attack on her family and the names of those responsible. Cray fired, but the pulse shielded Lyra. One of the soldiers tripped over the bridge's uneven boards, and Ethan grabbed him, tossing him aside to protect her. Sparks flew as laser shots ricocheted off metal beams. The bridge groaned under the stress, threatening to collapse. "Jump!" Ethan yelled, gripping Lyra tightly. They leaped as the bridge split in half behind them, molten rock churning below. Dust and debris filled the air. Lyra's heart pounded, but for the first time, she felt the strength of survival. They ran through the tunnels until they reached a natural cavern where an old maintenance lift still hung from chains. Ethan inspected it and found it functional. "This will take us to the surface," he said. "Hold on tight." The lift rattled as it ascended, dust falling in thick clouds. Outside, dawn was breaking. The colony looked different from this height. Far below, security drones scoured the canyon. Above, communication satellites blinked, receiving the signal Lyra had sent. Ethan realized the message had gone through. The evidence of corruption and murder would reach the authorities far beyond their sector. Hours later, reinforcements arrived. Ships from the central colony government descended, and soldiers loyal to the legitimate chain of command confronted Cray and his men. They were swiftly apprehended, their weapons seized. The Virellan child had survived, and the truth of the attack on her family spread across the colony like wildfire. Ethan and Lyra were escorted to a secure location. For the first time in days, Lyra felt safe. She was finally surrounded by people she could trust, humans and Virellans working together to ensure justice. Before being transported to a Virellan recovery ship, Lyra turned to Ethan. Her silver eyes were soft now, but they shone with quiet gratitude. "You risked everything for me," she said. "Why?" Ethan shrugged, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Because you asked for help. And I couldn't say no. No one should face that kind of fear alone." She hugged him tightly. "I'll never forget you." The Viralan ship lifted off, disappearing into the sky, carrying her toward safety and her people. Ethan watched until it became a speck among the clouds. For the first time in years, he felt hope, fragile but real. Somewhere out there, a young alien girl was alive because he had chosen to help. Later, back at his workshop, Ethan found a small data pad the Virelans had left behind. It contained messages of gratitude and instructions to contact the Viralan Council if he ever needed assistance. One line stood out among the text. "Thank you, human. My people remember. Your courage will be told to generations to come." Ethan set the pad aside, staring out at the horizon. The colony was still waking up, unaware of the full story of what had happened during the stormy night. But he knew one thing clearly: he had done the right thing. In a galaxy where danger and betrayal were common, a single act of courage could save a life and change the course of events. As the sun rose, Ethan felt a sense of peace. He had faced fear, corruption, and overwhelming odds, and he had protected someone who needed him. And now, somewhere in the stars, Lyra was safe, carrying with her the knowledge that humanity could be a force for good. He returned to his workbench, already thinking of repairs and the next projects, but something had changed inside him. He had become part of something larger than himself, a protector, a survivor, and a friend to a people he had barely known. The rain had stopped, and light flooded the valley. For Ethan, the storm had passed, and in its place was the quiet certainty that even in the darkest moments, courage and compassion could shine through. He smiled faintly, gripping the datapad one last time. Somewhere out there, a small silver-eyed girl was safe, and the galaxy was a little brighter because of it. The world would never forget the night Ethan chose to open his door and stand for what was right. And neither would Lyra. The rain had been falling in sheets for hours, drumming against the metal roof of Ethan's small workshop on the outskirts of the colony. The air smelled of wet earth and oil, a mix that the mechanic had grown used to over the years. He was hunched over a half-repaired maintenance drone, tools scattered around him, when a soft knock at the door made him freeze. Visitors this late were rare, almost unheard of. Hesitating, he wiped his hands on his grease-stained overalls and approached the door cautiously. When he opened it, he found a small figure, soaked to the bone, trembling in the pouring rain. It was a child, a Viralan girl, barely 12, with silvery eyes that shone in the dim light. Her long hair was plastered against her face, and her small body shook with cold and fear. "Help me, human," she whispered, her voice quivering. "My parents, they were killed today. Can I stay here?" Ethan's stomach tightened. The Virelans were peaceful, diplomatic beings, rarely seen outside official channels. Yet here was one, a child, standing at his doorstep, clearly terrified. He didn't ask questions. He knew that hesitation could mean danger, and judging by her expression, danger had already found her. He stepped aside and let her in, pulling the door closed behind her. The warmth of the workshop hit her almost immediately, and she shivered less violently. Ethan grabbed a thick blanket and wrapped it around her small shoulders. She clung to it like a lifeline, her eyes wide as she looked up at him. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Lyra," she whispered. "Lyra," he repeated, testing the sound. It suited her. "All right, Lyra, let's get you some food and something warm to drink. Then you can tell me what happened." She nodded, but words did not come easily. Her small hands trembled as she sipped the warm liquid Ethan handed her. Finally, after a long pause, she began to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. "They attacked my family. They were supposed to be protected. But they didn't make it. I ran. I had nowhere else to go." Ethan listened in silence, his mind racing. He knew of the recent reports. A Viralan transport had been ambushed near the colony, and the news channels had mentioned the deaths of several high-ranking Viralan officials. He had not realized a child had survived. Now she was in his workshop, completely alone and defenseless. The comms device on his workbench beeped suddenly. He glanced at it, tension tightening his chest. The colony security network had just sent out an alert. A fugitive alien child had been reported in the area. Ethan frowned. It wasn't just the raiders who might come after her. The authorities themselves could be searching, likely with no mercy. "They'll come for you," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We have to be careful. Can you trust me?" Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She nodded slowly. I think I can." Ethan guided her to a small hidden space beneath the workshop floor. It was narrow, dark, and not very comfortable, but it would conceal her from scanners and prying eyes. "Hide here," he whispered. "Don't make a sound. They're coming for you." Above them, the sound of engines approached. 2 armored vehicles rolled down the muddy path leading to his workshop. The colony marshal, Cray, a man with a reputation for ruthlessness, stepped out along with several soldiers. Ethan's heart sank. He could not allow them to find Lyra, not yet. When they knocked, Ethan opened the door, his face neutral. "Can I help you?" he asked. "We're looking for a dangerous fugitive," Cray said. His voice was cold and authoritative. "A Virilan child who survived the recent attack." "Have you seen her?" Ethan shook his head. "No, I haven't seen anyone." The soldiers began searching the workshop, scanning with small devices that could detect life signs. Lyra held her breath beneath the floor, feeling each footstep echo above her. She tried to steady her panicked heart as a faint light from the scanner swept over the floorboards. Ethan knew he had only moments. He subtly activated one of the maintenance drones on the workbench, sending it spinning into the corner with an overload of sparks. A small explosion erupted, causing smoke to fill the room. The soldiers panicked, shouting to each other, thinking it was an accident. While their attention was diverted, Ethan managed to disable the scanner, then guided them outside with a calm demeanor. When they finally left, he locked the door, leaning against it as exhaustion washed over him. Lyra emerged from her hiding place, tears streaking her face. "They'll come back," she whispered. "I know," Ethan said. "That's why we're leaving. Now." They packed what essentials they could carry: water, food, tools, and a small weapon Ethan kept for emergencies. The rain had eased to a drizzle, but the mud made traveling difficult. Drones hovered above the colony, scanning for heat signatures. Ethan used a camo tarp to mask their movements. Lyra stayed close, her small frame trembling, but her determination growing as she trusted him more. By midday, they reached an old mining tunnel at the edge of the canyon. The entrance was partially collapsed, a remnant of abandoned human mining operations. It was damp and cold, but it offered a hiding place. Ethan lit a small lamp and Lyra huddled near it, trying to regain warmth. "Why are they after me?" she asked softly. Ethan sat beside her, trying to find words. "Because someone wants to cover up a crime," he said carefully. "Your parents, they knew something important, something that could expose people who would do anything to protect themselves. And now they're trying to erase all evidence, including you." Lyra's large silver eyes reflected the flickering light of the lamp. "I don't want to be alone," she whispered. "You're not alone," Ethan replied, reaching out to hold her small hand. She squeezed it tightly. "I won't let anything happen to you." Hours passed in tense silence. Outside, the wind howled, carrying the faint sound of distant engines. They ate sparingly, knowing they had to conserve supplies. Ethan checked the tunnels, marking possible escape routes in his mind. Every creak of the old metal supports made Lyra flinch. As night fell again, they heard faint whispers from the canyon above. Ethan peered out through a crack in the tunnel. Search drones moved silently through the mist, scanning for life. He realized they were being hunted not just for who Lyra was, but for what she represented: proof of corruption and murder in the colony. Ethan taught Lyra how to stay silent, how to move without leaving traces, and how to remain hidden from sensors. Despite the fear, the girl absorbed everything quickly. Her intelligence was sharp, her instincts keen. She wasn't just a scared child. She had the will to survive. By the second night in the tunnels, Ethan realized they couldn't stay here forever. They needed a plan, a way to reach someone who could help, someone outside the colony who wouldn't be corrupted. He remembered an old friend, a smuggler who had connections across multiple systems. If anyone could get them safe passage, it would be him. As he discussed the plan with Lyra, she listened intently. "I trust you," she said. "But what if they catch us?" Ethan looked into her wide, scared eyes and forced a calm smile. "Then we'll run faster. But we won't let them catch you." The tunnels were quiet except for their breathing. Ethan set up small traps and noise alarms around the entrance to alert them if anyone approached. Lyra, despite her fear, helped him, learning quickly how to handle the small devices. For the first time since the attack, she felt a flicker of control over her own fate. Outside, far above the canyon, colony lights scanned the terrain. Drones buzzed over the landscape like vigilant insects. Ethan knew this was only the beginning. Whoever orchestrated the attack on Lyra's family wouldn't stop until she was silenced. But for now, she was safe. For now, she had someone who would fight for her. As dawn approached, Ethan and Lyra prepared to move again, deeper into the abandoned tunnels. The world outside was dangerous, but together, they had a chance. And in that chance lay hope. The faint, fragile hope that the truth could be revealed and that Lyra could survive, despite everything. Ethan glanced at her one last time before they moved forward. "We're not out of danger yet," he said softly. "I know," Lyra replied, determination hardening her voice. "But I'm not afraid if you're with me." Ethan nodded, gripping his makeshift weapon tightly. They disappeared into the dark tunnel, leaving behind the ruins of the rain-soaked night and stepping into uncertainty. Somewhere ahead, the path to safety awaited, but it would not be easy, and the hunters were already closing in. The storm had passed for now, but the real battle for survival had just begun.